Have you ever had an idea that was so clear it was like a 3D movie? Have you ever told a friend about the idea and they told you, wow, if you could only make that into a business, you would be rich? Sound familiar? Welcome to Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, with my co-host, Roosevelt Williams III, and we're here to help you take action. This is free information. We only ask one thing: build a strong foundation and mindset. We have insight to help you get started. Most of us just need a push. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Another episode of Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, and my co-host,
Roosevelt Williams III.
And we are honored and privileged to have the great Gabe Mendez here. Welcome to the show, Gabe.
What's up, fellas? Appreciate you guys having me on today, man.
Blessings, man. Episode 26.
26.
Had to have you on.
I like
yes, sir.
26. I'll take that.
That's right.
I like that.
Cool, man. Well, first, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. You're one of the people that I targeted. A lot of the people that I've had on the show are in my network, people that I admire, inspire to be. You're one of those people. So,
oh, man, thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.
Honor, man. Privilege is all mine today.
So what we cover, we basically try to inspire people to kind of tap into the entrepreneurial spirit. So they may have a job, which in my opinion, your job is your first investor. A lot of people nowadays for entrepreneurship, they try to down people that have a job. I don't think that's the wave. Like, a job is not a bad thing, but I think that you should be working on things in the background while you work your job. And it could be just an hour a night that you work on something that you're trying to build something more. Roosevelt and myself both have W-2 jobs, but we also work on things on the side. Do you have more than one thing than just real estate that you do?
I like how you framed that up first because Jim Rohn, he talked about that. He said, I work full-time on my job and then part-time on my passion. And then eventually he wants to work full-time on his passion and then part-time on his job and then quit his job completely.
Sure.
And I believe that, man. I think it's a noble thing to have like a 9-to-5 clock in. It's still hard work.
Yep.
You still got to get up. You still have to dress up. You still have to show up. So definitely don't want to knock anyone that's out there doing their hustle.
Right.
9 to 5 or 5 to 9, whatever that is.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Right.
But yeah, man, I got, so I'm working on a book.
Okay.
I'm working
nice.
on my coaching platform right now, building that stuff out.
Sick.
I have my speaking engagements where I'm traveling across the country.
Very
So
sick.
that whole side of the business, I'm building that outside of real estate, and which is very difficult. I have 2 kids. I have a wife. So trying to find the time between all of it, it's just like the days just fly by right now.
Right.
And that's where it's at. And I'm just seeing, I value time differently now that I'm older.
Yep.
I see it like you got this bank account that God gave you at birth.
Okay.
Bank account at birth, you don't know what the balance is. You just know that balance is dropping every single day. And you don't know when that thing is going to be depleted. And when it depletes and you're out, that your time on earth is gone. You can't make any more deposits. You just start with what you started with, and that's it. So every day that goes by, it's a debit that hits my account. I'm like, oh man, it's another debit. It's another debit. Like, bro, what are you doing with the day to day? And yeah, I mean, I'm 35 now, so it's been quickly flying by. But I am working on a part-time thing.
Okay.
That's the coaching side of the business, building that out. Have a lot of support from my wife, a lot of support from the team. It's been good, man. It's been a blessing.
And you work with your wife, right?
Yeah, we work together.
So how does that work?
It's a little, yeah, man. It's different.
Right.
We've been together now for 7 years. The first 6 years were very hard.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we got grounded in the Word. We went to premarital counseling. We got married back in December. And putting God in the middle really just helped us shape our relationship, gave us the values to look up to and all that.
Right.
So that was cool. And even after that, these last like 8-9 months, still a learning process.
Yep.
Every day, man. You got to learn how to communicate. I think for the men specifically, or whoever like the main business person is, you got to learn when to shut it off and turn it on. And it all comes down to you being the leader. So for me, that was a big thing. Coming home, knowing when to shut it off, like don't poke the bear. Just because she's my wife doesn't mean I can speak to her differently. You know, if she's working in the business, I got to talk to her the same way I would talk to my other employees and people in my team. So that was a huge learning thing too, because I felt just because she was my wife, I didn't have to be that leader. I'm like, no, I can talk to whoever I want to speak to you. You're my wife. You're going to hear for what it is. The wrong way to handle it. Nah, man. She was like, you don't talk to your employees that way. You don't talk to anyone else that way. Why do you speak to me that way? And just was like a light bulb. I'm like, wow, what am I doing?
Right.
That's not right.
Right.
So I got to be the man and the leader on every area.
Okay.
If you wanted to work with you, otherwise shut up and do it yourself.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thing. So hasn't been the easiest. I'm sure you know
But-
people or situations like that.
But the good thing is you had enough foresight to see like, hey, and willing to listen to what she's saying and say, you know what, I'm gonna take that feedback and I'm gonna do better. A lot of people, they won't do that. Like our parents, as an example, they may tell us don't do something while they're doing it right in front of you. And then you don't respect what they're saying the same because you're like, well, wait, you're telling me not to do this, but everyone around me is doing it, including you.
Yeah.
So that's cool that you would be like, you love her enough to be like, I'm not only going to do better, but I'm going to take your advice and I'm going to change things.
Yeah.
So, so you started, who became a realtor first? Was it you or her?
It was me.
So you became a realtor first.
So I became a real estate agent. I met her in the parking lot, gave her a flyer one day. I was like, yo, selling this house. If you know of anyone who's interested, there's my number at the bottom. And of course, she hit your boy up 7 days later. She sent me a text message and she was like, hey, is this Gabe? I'm like, yep, who's this? She said, my name is Cherish. I met you in the parking lot 7 days ago. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember who you are. Are you interested in that house? But bro, listen to this though. Listen to this. She's like, no, I'm interested in you.
Ooh, hit
Bro,
you with the
that was
line.
it. I'm like, she's a baddie. She's into me. She approached me first, which takes a lot for a woman to do that.
Yep.
To send a message out and to say I'm interested. And bro, I still have that text message saved to this day.
Oh, that's
7
cool.
years later, still have that
That's
message
cool.
saved to this day. I'm interested in you. And that's a wrap. And here we are, married. So,
Blessings.
Kind of voluntold her into the business.
Okay.
Started off as an assistant, you know, like, hey, you want to help me on the weekends, do some open house signs or whatever. She's like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then, hey, you know, you free today? Come into the office, help me, update my CRM, make some calls. Like, oh, I'll do that. And then little by little, I just started dominating her life. And then
So you basically had a cheap labor.
got cheap labor, man. Little by bro, she was up at 6 a.m. putting up open house signs for me on the weekend. 4 p.m. would roll around, all the open house signs would be picked up already, and I'd be ready to rock and roll, bounce. I was like, dang, like,
Man,
Yeah, you
she's
like,
a
I
rider,
get
bro.
this. I get
That's
this
a
the
right.
makeup had the, she had the extensions and the heels all in place. She was out there grinding, just full face, ready to rock and roll. I'm like, damn, bro, like, I'm gonna lock this one in.
Right?
I'm gonna close escrow on this one, bro.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Congratulations on
man.
that, bro.
So the team started out just you two.
Just us two.
How big is your team today?
So it's myself, her, my administrative assistant. We have a VA, and then it's 3 sales agents. We have one in Orange County, Riverside, and San Bernardino.
So you're dominating Cali.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about that. What makes you different from a lot of, I guess I would say, realtors or professionals is you took heed to the social media game before a lot of them.
Yeah, the social media thing made us stand out a lot, and that gave us the exposure that we needed to like break into different markets. People in Riverside, Orange County, San Bernardino, like, yo, can we work with you? Can we work with you? We see what you're doing with your clients, but I can't be in every other places at once, so I had to hire talent.
Sure.
So I would say the social media thing set us apart, but my ability to take a complicated situation and simplify it is like my super strength. Like I would say my superpowers are simplifying complex situations and execution.
Okay.
Like if I had to define myself, give me a complex problem, I'll make it real easy so that a 7th grader can follow it and I implement. So if you're like, yo, this is working for me, I'll be back in the lab tomorrow implementing whatever you taught me.
Right.
I'll test it out for like 90 days. If it doesn't work out, I'm on to the next thing. So quickly.
You don't waste time on,
I don't waste any time.
on issues that
Nothing at all.
It's not going to benefit while we're working on this is figure out a better solution.
So while agents right now are 6-7 years in the game, trying to figure out like, oh my gosh, like maybe they're crushing it in sales and making a bunch of money. I did that last year. I did that the year before. I know what it's like to be a top agent, top 1%.
Right.
And I know all the problems that come with it too. Not being there for your kids, your wife, not having time to yourself. So I've already been there, done that. So since last year, I've already been finding solutions on how to get my time back without taking a hit to my production.
Okay.
So now I'm seeing agents this year, end of last year, I'm the best, I'm number one. I'm like, yeah, but I can see your quality time with the kids ain't the best.
Right.
I can see that you don't have the weekends off. Right. I don't show houses anymore. I'm not doing open houses, yet I'm still producing more than you, and I'm happier, which is one thing I think we don't talk about enough: mental health and happiness. Everything look good on the outside, but if you're breaking down on the inside, bro, it's like, what's it all for? If you're losing your relationships, if you're losing nights of sleep. Kids don't know who you are. You're missing all the games. Like, bro, those things are important.
Absolutely.
My boy's 4 years old right now. He's in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
This dude just had his first fighting match last week and was dominating all 3 kids. I was able to be there middle of the day because I built a business around my real estate practice that allowed me to be there midday. And I filmed the whole thing. And there he is, man. He's fighting these 3 kids one at a time. First time he's ever fought. His first month in jiu-jitsu. Dominates all 3, and throughout the entire fight, he's sitting there looking for me, making like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "I see you, champ. I see you, man." And so you can see him in the video as he's fighting, looking for dad. Like, "Where's dad at right now?"
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah, I saw you." He was like, "Cool." We do this thing with our hands. We're like this, like, yeah, you know, like number one, you know. And so that I don't get to miss those moments anymore. Whereas I know a lot of people out there, they're missing those things. And they on the facade, on the outside, it all looks together, it looks happy. But I know, because I've walked those steps before, to be a top producer, you got to answer your phone 7 days a week.
Right.
You got to be on call. You got to show that house. Because if you don't do it, Redfin, Zillow has a million other agents that are ready to snag your client that quick moment's notice. So how do you set the expectation with the client? How do you hire an agent to work for Gabe Mendez and give your client to that other agent and say, you're going to get the same level of service as if you worked with me? How do you get the client to be okay with, wait, are you giving me to someone else? Are you too busy to work with me?
Right.
It's like, no, it's not that way at all. You got to learn how to have the analogies in place.
Right.
No, me handing you off to that agent in my team is the same thing as you going to a restaurant, you walking inside and the hostess hosts you. Right. The waiter waits on you. The chef is in the back cooking the food, and you had an amazing experience at that restaurant. Well, who do you think put all that together? The owner did.
Right.
The owner hired them, made sure they were the right people, the right place, so you had a good experience. I'm the owner. There's my waiter. Like, they're going to take care of you. I'm going to be there making sure I'm going to be cooking things in the back, watching your contract, checking in, make sure my employees are taking care of you, having those conversations. I'm already 10,000 shots in on that conversation where other agents are just barely tiptoeing on how do I hire my first person.
Right.
So you come back to the question, what makes me different is taking complex situations, simplifying them, and then executing things fast, which is why right now I'm at this point in my business, I'm making more money than I did last year, but I have way more time and I'm way more happier than I've ever been.
Well, that's the thing too, that people, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. He had a media business that he's been doing on the side. So we talk usually once a week, and he's really very, he don't want to give up that control, like to hand it to someone else. Like we talked about, get a virtual assistant or something like that, or get someone that you can outsource. And he's all against this stuff. I'm like, when you call Verizon to pay your cell phone bill, or AT&T or whoever, or a cable company, where does that call go? And he's like, goes to India. I'm like, why do you think it goes to India? He goes, I don't know. I'm like, so when you call there, you make the payment, you pay the bill, it gets paid, and your service works, right? He goes, yeah. I'm like, now, did they have perfect English that they spoke with you? He's like, no. I'm like, but you know you need to pay that bill. Otherwise, they're going to cut off your phone or cut off your lights or whatever. And these companies have figured out that, hey, if we outsource this actual activity that everyone's going to do every month, we don't have to pay a person in the United States as much. We don't have to pay for unemployment and all those different things. And they still charge you the same, and probably our services go up more. But that's what the mindset I had to have him understand. I'm like, hey, if you are trying to build business out, like scaling up, how many hours does it take you to edit a video with all the stuff you got going on? He goes, oh, man, it might take me 1 to 3 hours. I'm like, okay, so what if you do this a couple of times and it's successful? So now I want the service. Roseville wants service. You want the service. And you have a full-time job. You have a wife. How are you going to manage all these people? Because you're thinking about right now, like, I'm doing this on the side, but what if this is successful? You're going to need people in place to help you. And they're not going to know the difference because I think what people do is they're an expert at something, so they know exactly how this should be and that. But you and I, if it's a subject that we just need the service done, it may be 80% as good as if they did it, but we won't know the difference. You know?
So here's my thing, right? So like, go back to the restaurant analogy. If you're a restaurant owner and you hire a chef to cook the meals, and then maybe you get 2, 3, 4 clients that come into the restaurant. The food is bomb. Right. Like, yo, this place is dope. Right. Those 3 go tell 1 other people. So now you got 6 that come back, and then you got 12, and then it just continues to grow. The chef can't continue to cook all that food. So what does the chef got to do? He has to make the recipes, How much of a pinch of this do you need? What kind of milk do you got to put inside of it? What kind of rice? What brand is it? How old can it be before it goes bad and the texture and consistency changes?
Facts.
So it's all up here, but like a true business owner, you document it. All right, bro, this is my SOPs. When you walk into my kitchen, this is how you blend that drink. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. You document the thing. Now you duplicate yourself. Boom. This is what you got to follow right there. Now you watch that person do it. Not just recreating myself one time, 2 times, 3 times, and now I just sat back and I got 3 people running that. So your boy got to sit back and he has to create his SOPs. All right, this is how you film. This is the angle. This is the color editing I use. This is when you go onto the program, what you log into. This is what you do. That is called working on the business.
Not in the
Most people work in the business
Facts.
all day, man. You got to turn that off, stop working in it. Now work on the business, create the SOPs, man. What's it look like? And that's where my brain excels. Simplify it. Let me just really quickly. This is how you do it. Follow it. 2 weeks, you're fully onboarded, and now I got another Gabe right there with me.
Mini Gabes.
And your boy got to go. Your boy has to get that done though. He has to sit back, create that for himself, and then give that to the VA.
Right.
That's how you do it. And then if you got the ingredients on how to blend it, how to make it, how to do it, they can't mess it up. What can you mess up? You literally have the game plan on how to do it. You can't mess it up. Now go find the cheap labor to get it done. Now you can take on 2-3 more clients at that point. And it's and it all comes from your email, your page. Looks like you're getting all the work done, your consistency, and your clients look at you like your superhero.
Yeah.
What's going to end up happening if he doesn't do that soon as his business scales? He's going to have a lot of upset clients, fire him, who or just walk away and end up going somewhere else.
Bad reviews.
Yeah, bad reviews, all that stuff, man. You don't want that. You got to invest in the business before it gets to that point.
Yeah, and if I could just chime in, for those that don't know what SOP is, that's standard operating procedures.
That's it.
And take that nugget, working in the business and on the business to make yourself duplicatable.
Right.
And then when your message is consistent, that's how you're able to be a level 5 leader. And a level 5 leader, I just may add, that's the individual that's watching, their air at a jiu-jitsu, winning the game because their team is able to perform in their absence.
Yep.
Because they have the proper messaging, effective messaging. So I can relate to that, brother. That's what I'm talking.
I like that level 5 leadership. Where does that come from?
Oh man, that's part of the where'd I get that one at the law?
Like John C. Maxwell or something like that?
No, that's the Law of Success by Napoleon Hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's level 5 leadership.
You got him for days, bro.
I like that. Yeah.
But I recognized it when you were saying about it. Having those SOPs in place, and that's how you're able to even sell your business.
Yep.
As well, when you know the value of your business, because someday you may be approached. I want to buy. I want to buy. So you have to actually been able to kick the tires, check the hood, actually know what you have, to know your vehicle's life expectancy.
You won't know it if you don't document it.
Absolutely. Somebody might ask you, can your vehicle drive it here to New York? You got to be able to say, yes, it can. And
it's not a sexy part of the business that no one wants to sit down. I get it. It's tough. It sucks. It takes a lot of brain, willpower, and focus to sit down and line by line. This is how you do every single part of what I do, but it's necessary.
Yes, sir.
Got to get it done.
And it makes it easier. Nowadays, though, you could do video, too, where there's like little segments and you could say, okay, this is how I make a cold call to a client, or this is how I take a new call from a client, and have them kind of scripted. But what I like about your analogy of recreating yourself, if you hire us, we'll put our own little flavor on it. So we are mini Gabes, but as we get your training or whatever, then we say something maybe a little differently, and we can add more spice to the recipe.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
A little more sizzle to the steak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how did you know at the time, because shoot, that's probably 4 years ago, how did you know that social media was a way to multiply your business?
So I started my business door knocking and cold calling, and to knock on 100 doors,
there you go.
It took me 3 hours.
Okay.
3 hours to knock on 100 doors. I'm like, damn, this is a long time. Bro, I'm sweating. My knees are hurting. The shirt on the inside starts getting brown. It starts
burning
getting dirty,
a little
bit. Kneecaps start to hurt. If I don't get in the sun, I get pretty light. But bro, like three hours in the sun, 5 days a week, bro, your boy was looking burnt. I was looking toast.
Yeah, Aztec way.
Yeah, and then I give a business card, be like, is that you? That's me, bro. But I was doing that And then I was like, well, if I make a post on social media with the same message, I'm like, I can be in front of hundreds of people with one post.
Sure.
So let's just do the law of averages. If I make one post, 500 people, and if I do 3 posts per day, that's 1,500 people versus 3, and that's in 5 minutes.
Right.
Versus 1 hour, 3 hours talking to 100 people. I'm like, I'd rather do this way than that way. So as I was building the business via the cold market, I was building it also on social media until that part-time thing ended up being my full-time thing. And then I stopped doing the door knocking, and now, so that was probably close to about 2017, 2018. Right. So I started testing it out a little more.
You were ahead of your time, bro.
Bro, it was gold mine.
Right.
So blessed to be that. I feel like that was my perfect moment because that ended up setting me up for everything else. That ended up setting me up for the coaching, the speaking events, the book, everything that I'm working on right now was all thanks to the backbone of Facebook and Instagram back in 2017.
Right. And I think we met around that time. So how do you look at your business today compared to then? Do you feel like you came a long way? I love my story, man. I love the fact I went through what I went through. I love the slam doors. I love having my car repossessed at a listing appointment. I loved being broke. I actually recorded myself in 2015 calling my bank. I have it on my laptop, calling my bank, and it's saying your account's overdrawn by $1,300. And I'm sitting in my grandmother's house where I lived at the time on the futon, just like crying on camera, like, yo, dead ass broke. And I recorded those moments. I love it, bro. I love looking back. I love just the fact that I was able to push through it, that I had the right mentors in my ears. I had the right people spitting game, people keeping it real with me. Right. I remember going to my lender's office and talking with him many times, like, yo, I'm ready to quit. This isn't working out. And he would sit there with me and say, yo, it's part of the process. Like, you have to go through this in order to get there. He's like, you're not doing anything different. All of us have failed. All of us get rejected. Just keep on doing it, and it's going to work eventually. But I had 2-3 of those people in my ear constantly telling me that. And that was the beautiful blessing of all of it, having that group of support. So going through all of it and then being at this point, I feel like I'm in this sweet spot where I can connect with the older demographic and I can connect with the young demographic. So I'm in that sweet spot right now where I can talk to both. I know what it's like to be in your shoes and in your shoes, but I got that perfect blend of both. So that makes me unique in terms of business, with real estate. The story was just is part of the process, man. There was what's that quote? You can't have a testimony without a test. Yep.
Yeah. You got to have a test to have a testimony.
Everybody love a comeback, baby.
Yeah, bro. That's what it is, man.
Everybody love a comeback. Yes, sir. So, and that's what makes your story awesome too, because it's not like you came from money. Was your family rich?
Oh, man.
Yeah, so you came from the bottom and you worked your way up to where you are today.
Yeah.
So you got to salute for that.
Yeah, man. Awesome, man. Big shout out to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, brother. Honestly, absolutely. Bro, I got saved a few years ago, and it's been a big blessing too, man. My faith has been a big portion of why I'm at where I'm at today, especially with my wife. Yeah. I got to get this off my chest, man. Like, if you're married, if you are married out there and you're listening to this show, like, your wife is your first ministry. Okay. That's your first ministry. You got to take care of her before you take care of the children, before you take care of the business. She's number one all the time. When I made that shift in my head and I made her number one, my kids flourished, my business flourished, everything around me changed. It was like this whole level of anointing, bro, that I've never had before. And this is coming from a dude who ran through half of San Diego when I was younger. Like, bro, I was back in the day. Back in the day, man. I wasn't a good guy. And now I look back at my life and I'm like, I would rather have this woman 100 times than anything else right now, man.
Which is awesome.
It's the most beautiful thing. So I gotta, because we're talking business today, right?
Sure.
Taking that knowledge and turning it into money. Treat your wife, make her your first ministry, love her, respect her, give her the time and attention. You're gonna see every other part of your life flourish. Yeah, man, that's a big one for sure.
I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Got a question?
That's the helpmate. You know what I mean? Your helpmate.
That's the helpmate.
Absolutely. She especially when a man is on a mission, we're blessed to have women because they're the helpmate.
Bro, they support us so much through our highs and lows, and
yes, sir.
You know what it is, man. Our mental highs, our mental lows, our emotional highs, our emotional lows, and they're right there supporting us the entire time. Like the biggest cheerleader, biggest supporter.
Yes, sir.
And even when they're down, whatever, right? It's our opportunity to grow and build them back up and stuff like that. I mean,
yes, sir.
You see a lot of these people who are successful in life and they lose their wife, and then bam, just all the way down, bro. And even what really hit hard for me was even with, you guys know who Gucci Man is, right?
Yeah.
Rapper.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, he's on record too, saying like, he's like, no, man, I will never touch another woman. He's like, I love my wife. He goes on tours. Even recently, I think it was like last month on an interview, I love my wife. I'll never touch another female out there. He's like, because the moment that happens, and he's on record saying that everything else will go down once if you do that. He's like, you gotta treat your wife first, treat her right. So it's I feel like it's a movement that's starting to grow right now more than ever, which is like love your wife, respect your wife, put her on a pedestal. It's a movement that I'm starting to see in culture, pop culture. I'm starting to see it in business more. And yeah, man, I feel like that's gonna be the next movement, is treating your wife right.
I think that with the way things are, with people are so lost. We were talking about it today when I was at the barbershop, where you have people believing that everybody makes $350,000 a year, and that girls are telling guys that, yeah, I can't talk to you because you got a normal 9 to 5 and you only make like $90,000 a year, which is a lot of money, and depending on where you live, like San Diego, people may laugh at that, but depending on where you live, that's a lot of money. So
I think it's a lot of money.
Yeah. So sometimes people don't know the statistics. They don't understand really what money is. So we got a lot of young youth that's running around here thinking that they can just meet a guy that's going to make all these things happen. But your story is awesome because you didn't start out that way. You guys kind of built this up to where you are today. You didn't come from money, but you met somebody that you love, you cherish, you care about. You guys built something together. You had a child and you have a business. So that's what I think a man and a woman should look for. It's like, hey, I see the potential in this person, and you guys are both have this foundation. We're willing to build something together.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't. They want you to run the marathon and meet you at the end with the champagne, but they don't want to do that work.
Do the work.
You know, that 7 years of work.
Get you a girl that puts on her heels and set up the open house signs for you, bro.
Right.
Better lock that one up quick.
And it's a blessing to be able to go through life with one woman as well, because then you can reminisce on experiences in the past. Because I tell my wife all the time, do you remember when we were in Joe's Crab Shack arguing over the last hot link? You know, because we both couldn't afford it, but you was in school and then go to school. But I was sharing with my wife, as long as we keep God at the forefront, we'll always have money, because money, God, and God, we trust on it.
Come on.
You know, so that's also, it's a great thing to be able to have.
I see it, man.
You know, so it's a blessing to be able to,
it's like an encyclopedia over here.
You know, and then I will share this one right here too. It's not about who makes the most money to all the entrepreneurs or W-2 individuals. It's not about who makes the most money that controls the house. It's about two people being in love together, going in the same direction.
Yeah.
You know, that communication. So, man, I'm just...
I love that. My wife and I recently learned, I'd say about end of last year, and we actually talk on this, that in a relationship, it doesn't matter in terms of like who makes more money or whatever, just both of you have to communicate and come to a place of agreement of who's taking lead and charge in the relationship and who's going to be the person that follows. Like you got to have someone who leads the house and someone who leads the business and the finances in the world when you run a business together. And that's what her and I have done. I've taken the role of taking lead in finances in the business, and she has chosen to follow my lead. When it comes to home, she takes the lead and I just follow her lead. But overall, when it comes to decisions with the family, what we're doing, the direction, she has chosen to come under submission with me in a healthy way. And I think that's important for a lot of business people out there as well. If you're in business with your significant other, one person has to take the dominant, one person has to take the submissive. And submissive isn't a bad thing. You know, when you take the actual word submission apart, you know, you got sub, which is underneath, mission, right? So some person going underneath another person's mission. Who's going to submit? And my wife is like, I'll submit to your mission. And so my message to a lot of fellas out there constantly is, if you want your wife, your female, your woman to submit to your mission, don't have a mission that sucks. And don't be a man that sucks. Don't be a leader that sucks. If you want her to, how do you expect her to follow a mission that you guys are constantly losing, defeated, you have a bad attitude, you're never winning, all that stuff? You want her to submit to that? Absolutely not. So my wife is like, don't have a mission that sucks. I don't. You know, make sure life is good. It is. And she's like, I will completely submit to you. So she'll tell you, her calling in life is to be my wife, and she loves that role. My job is to support my husband and what he does in the business, to lead our family in the right direction. And so her calling in life is to do that. So men, if you're out there with business, or even women, man, it's okay to fall under submission under your wife. It's not a bad thing at all. We're not saying you're less than, weaker than. We're just saying that she's going to be taking the lead on that. You're going underneath her mission and supporting her in that direction. As long as both of you can communicate that, there's nothing wrong. It doesn't demasculate you. You're still the man. You're still the protector and all that stuff. But just someone needs to choose that submissive role in business. Submission, go under mission.
Well said.
Let's bring it back to real estate. So if I was a new agent right now and I want to come to the Gabe Mendez season, by the way, they are hiring. They're looking for new talent. What's something that you would expect them to do off top, like as far as to be successful?
The top 3 things that I tell every agent to be successful, I would say is you got to work hard every single day, the obvious stuff. The second thing you got to do is you got to study every single day. So you got to be an expert in your field. You got to work really hard every single day. And I would say find a mentor. If you can work hard every single day and you become really good in your skills, your talent, knowing your craft, that's going to build your confidence. Real estate agents, we're afraid to knock on doors because we don't know what to say. We're afraid to host open houses because we don't know anything about the foundation or the roof or the windows. So become an expert in the field. Learn about the contracts. Learn about foundations. Learn about how homes are built. The difference between a raised foundation and a slab foundation. Between a new development or what mellow roofs are. Like, study your industry, become an expert. That builds your confidence. When you're confident, you take bolder actions and you're actually willing to go out there and put your neck on the line. But just knowing isn't enough. You still got to combine that with hard work. You got to go out there and be consistent, knock on the door, make the phone call, show up to the office every day, treat the business like a business so it'll pay you like a business. And then lastly, find a mentor, someone who is where you want to be. That's that shortcut to life.
Okay.
Does this person have the values that I have? Do they represent what I want to represent in a short time? Because if you go under their submission, you submit to their process, you're eventually going to become what they are. So find someone who you're in alignment with, join that group, and do it that way. So that I would say those are my top 3 takeaways, man.
I like that. You have any announcements of things that you got coming up this year or in the future?
Yeah. So we're hosting, we have this event called Winter Circle. We had one in San Diego back in October, I think it was August. Huge event. We had about 600 people there. We have a Winter Circle coming up on November 3rd in Los Angeles. We have a Winter Circle coming up in Temecula in December. So just type in Winter Circle on Facebook. You'll see the group. Go to my Instagram page at Gabe Mendez. You'll see the information there. This is where I'm taking all of the top producers in real estate. You have to have a brokerage, have a high producing team, or you have to be a high producing agent, solo agent. We fact check all your stuff and we bring them all on stage.
Yeah, playing.
We bring you all on stage and we have them do 20-minute segments on whatever their expertise is.
Okay.
I look at all their slides. I fact check all their slides and make sure that there's no fluff. I don't want no storytelling. I don't want you to tell me about how you grew up in the business. None of that. You're coming on stage to deliver one thing, and that's tactical information so that the audience can walk away with something and implement it.
That's
so
awesome.
Winter Circle is nothing but top producing agents giving the best of the best. And I scrub all of the slides, all the speeches. If there's anything that's inconsistent or does not provide value, it's taken out immediately. So that's the level of standard that we're delivering. So Winter Circle's coming up, and we're also expanding our real estate team. So if you're in 50 states, we're expanding to all 50 states, 22 countries.
Nice.
So for a list of the countries that we're operating in, send me a direct message on Instagram at Gabe Mendez. And we're teaching people how to improve their sales skills, everything from neuro-linguistic programming, body language, nonverbal communications, to marketing, social media, online, how to get that done, and then how to build a business, getting the right people, trust attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors to set you up in the right place. I feel like the industry lacks a lot of that, and that's the approach that I'm taking. So right now we've opened it up. We're now close to I haven't announced anything on social media, but I'm about like 70 agents so far in my entire organization. So probably in the next couple of weeks we'll be a little over 100, and the goal is to get to about 5,000 globally in the next 12 months.
Nice.
So if you guys want to rock with some winners, slide in my DM.
I know you got to go to do your mentorship, so I don't want to hold you too long. Any final words?
Yeah, I'm glad that you gave us what's coming up. So I'm excited, and I'll definitely be tuned in. And definitely,
thank you, Roosevelt. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're gonna have to you to speak at our BizCon that's coming up. So we'll talk about that later on.
Oh yeah, man. Let's connect on that. It'd be a pleasure. It'd be an honor to do that, man.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Gabe, man, you know I got nothing but love for you. So
Same, bro. Same.
I'm so happy
Since day
you're,
one, man.
Yeah, able to come to our show. We're gonna make sure to blow this up and to continue to, I guess, give you your flowers while you're here, because I think that's important. And that's kind of why I made this show. I've met so many amazing people since I've been in San Diego, so it's just my network, and I'm trying to show it to the world.
That's beautiful, bro.
So,
appreciate that.
Another episode of Knowledge and Currency. It's a wrap. Thank you.
Blessings.